I rented a MyWheels car for 5 hours and drove for over 183 kilometers. And here is what my experience looked like and the total cost. So I got my driver's license last week, Friday, and ever since then, I've been so excited about driving. I know at some point I'll probably get tired of it, but until then, I've been driving my girlfriend's manual car since last week, but I've also been curious about trying some of these car sharing services. There are a couple of them in the Netherlands. There is MyWheels, GreenWheels, 6Share, Free to Move, and so on. These companies provide cars that you can rent for a certain period of time, and then you also pay for the kilometers that you drive. There's also companies like Snapcar, which is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform that connect individuals who need a car with car owners in their neighborhood. Services like Snapcar give you a variety of vehicles from small cars to vans, different type of vehicles which you might not find in rental companies. For most of the traditional car rental companies, you have to return the car back to where you picked it from, but some other companies might allow you to return it to a different location for a fee. So if I was going with a company like MyWheels, it means that I'll have to drive the car to my destination and also drive it back to the spot where I picked it from. By the way, this video is not sponsored by MyWheels, although I would very much love that. So I wanted to go for an 8 kilometers trip, and it was a round trip, so that was like 80 to destination, 80 back, and that's 160 kilometers. So now to choose a rental company. I checked out GreenWheels, but the first thing I didn't like about GreenWheels was that you have to pay a deposit of 100 euros before you can start driving. Now I understand why a deposit is important, and I know that you also get the deposit back after you delete your account and you also paid all the invoices. But for someone like me who just wanted to test drive these companies, committing to 100 euros was a lot. I also checked out Free to Move. I think they were previously called Share now, but then they have a requirement where you need to have held a driver's license for at least 12 months. Mine isn't even a week old yet. I checked out 6Share, but the prices looked really expensive for a round trip. For a one-way trip, the prices may have been considerable because then I only have to do 80 kilometers and then I can take advantage of the hourly package and drop off the car at a close-by city. But I was going for a round trip, so this wasn't an option. But then I checked out MyWheels and this seemed to be a better option. Also because my friend used it recently, we went on a trip together. So I was already familiar with the prices and the discounts that they offer. Now, depending on the car you choose, you'll be paying between 3.5 euros to 4.5 euros per hour and 35 cents to 45 cents per kilometer for most cars. They also have upfront kilometers, which comes with discounts. If you go for the 100 kilometer discount, you get 12% on the kilometer fee, and with the 200 kilometer discount, you get 25% discount. As you can see on the table on the screen, if I went for no discount, then I'll be paying 63 euros just for the kilometer fee. For 100 kilometer discount, I'll be paying 58 euros because first I paid 37 cents for the first 100 kilometer, then 42 cents for the extra 50 kilometer. But then at 200 kilometer discount, I'll be paying 64 euros, which would cover the 150 kilometers journey. But for example, if I did a 165 kilometer, then 200 kilometer discount becomes the cheapest option. So I went with the 200 kilometer discount. And I also got a discount code for my first ride, which was extra incentive to use MyWheels. So on the app, I looked for available cars in a specific location and I chose the 200 kilometer discount, and the kilometer fee was around 63 euros. Then the hour fee was around 16 euros, which was like 4 euros multiplied by 4 hours. Then you also pay an insurance fee of like 4.99, let's say 5 euros. So everything is around 85 euros. I used the discount code and then I got a discount of 25 euros. So in total, the estimated price for the trip was around 60 euros. But then I made a mistake. I didn't realize that there were cheaper cars on the app that I could go for. I thought this was just the standard price for all the cars, but as I was making this video, I realized that there are different rates for different cars. For example, I chose a car of 4.19 euros per hour and 42 cents per kilometer, and with the 200 kilometer discount, that is 32 cents per kilometer, and everything with the discount totaled to 60 euros. But then there are also cars like this which you rent for 3.49 euros per hour and 37 cents per kilometer. But with the 200 kilometer discount, that is 25 cents per kilometer, and when you add everything together, that is like 74 euros, and with the discount, that is like 49 euros. Like I said, I only realized this while making this video. I would have saved up to 11 euros if I went for the cheaper car. So a tip is to look for cheaper cars. And then I made a reservation for the trip. When you make a reservation, you don't have to pay for the trip already. You just get an estimated price of what your journey would look like. But after the actual trip, you get the invoice of how much you need to pay. Now, when it's time for the trip, you locate the car, you start the trip, and then you can unlock the car from the app. Then you remove the charge plug. Now, there are different brands that MyWheels uses, and each of them come with a manual, so you can figure out how to do different things. And when you're ready, you can kick off your journey. Driving an automatic car gave me a certain level of confidence on the road that I never thought I had. I realized that one thing that stressed me during driving lessons, and even still stresses me after getting my license, is the fact that I have to think of changing gears while I also try not to miss out on the signs on the road, the people beside me, my mirrors, and everything. But while riding this car, I didn't have to think about gears, and that changed a lot for me. By the way, MyWheels also offers manual transmission cars, which could be cheaper in terms of rent per hour or kilometer usage. So it's also worth checking it out if you're into manual cars. When I made this reservation, it was for 4 hours, but on my way back, I had a delay at McDonald's for over 45 minutes. It was really busy there. So I had to extend my trip by an extra hour, and that also meant that the expense would be increased by 4.19 euros. Okay, I just arrived from my very long trip and I used the car up until 16%. Usually when you use these cars, you have to bring them back to where you picked them from. So this is the spot where I picked the car from a couple of hours ago. I have this on neutral, the park is on, and then here I can turn off the car. When dropping off this car, you have to plug it to the charging station. There is a charging card at the glove compartment of the car, which you place on the charging station to charge the car. Then you put the key back, lock the car, and end your trip. As for the invoice, in my case, it didn't come immediately, but when I woke up the next day, I got to see the invoice, which showed me how much I drove and how much the bill was. Anyways, when it comes to this car rental sharing services, I think it really depends on what you want. If you want to go for one-way trips, then using something like 6Share or Free to Move would be better, because then you can park the car in a close by city and you don't have to worry about bringing it back to where you picked it from. I also read a few things online that said MyWheels has a cheaper rate than MyWheels, but then because of the 100 euros deposit, that was something that discouraged me. But maybe in your case, that's something you want to commit to, and then you can use MyWheels. Like I mentioned, there's also services like Snapcar, which allows you to rent varieties of cars, from vans to whatever you want to use a car for. Although I think these options are much better if you want to rent a car for a long period of time. If it is just for a short drive, a few hours, I think using MyWheels or these other rental companies are better. But if it's for like multiple days, then using something like Snapcar is better, because then you can negotiate with the person renting the car. Snapcar is just like you're renting a car from your neighbor, but you found a neighbor on a marketplace. So in that sense, you can negotiate different things which you might not have flexibility for if you're using car rental companies. Now, I don't plan to use MyWheels a lot. They also offer subscriptions. I think even MyWheels and the others, they also offer subscriptions. I don't plan to use it a lot because there's public transportation. I have a bicycle. My girlfriend also has a manual car. But it's also nice to know that options like this exist, which can be very good for maybe group travels, long distance travels, and also just that fun experience when driving an automatic and an electric car.